For the 23-24 season, the 1878 FM podcast is sponsored by Green King Sport, where football is more than a game. Green King Sport venues are showing every Everton televised game this season. So instead of trying to struggle to get a game on, why don't you get your mates together and get down to your local Green King Sports pub and get closer to the action. This season, Green King have launched the Green King Sport Instagram page, which will be home to fan content, deals and competitions throughout the season. They've already given away Champions League final tickets and signed shirts, so get over there and don't miss out. So why don't you drop them a follow on Instagram, and then you won't be missing out on all the competitions and the giveaways. You'll also be helping out Toffee TV, so head over there now. Hello, welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. It is episode 14. And the band is back together. Andrew Bush is back. He's been missing for a while. Because Everton have started winning, he's returned. Oh!
Soundboard is back.
Thank you. It is. Great applause there. Andy, how the hell are you?
Hey, it's great to see you guys. I feel like I should have said hello, Ma, like Nick Cotton used to do in EastEnders with the drum roll. It's weird, isn't it? I've not been doing the podcast, and Everton have started winning. So I'm wondering.
Bye, Andy.
Well, yeah, I'll see you guys later on. Andy, am I the problem?
Going into room 101.
What an amazing feeling it is, though. Now that we're not absolutely terrible all the time. It's kind of new and exciting, isn't it? I feel good.
No, it's good. And we did say a few weeks ago that, I mean, even with the Derby result, actually the performance was okay. And we just sort of said, well, hopefully this will be the kind of the grounding that we need to build upon for, you know, the fixtures coming forward and to do better. And they have indeed done that, you know, and it's good to see.
Well, I tell you what, one thing, and I feel bad because I think I spent a lot of my time on this podcast slagging him off, and that's Mykolenko. The rebirth, the regeneration of Mykolenko, not only as a great left back, but as a potent striking force and goal scorer is an amazing thing. I don't know whether Dyche has is getting a tune out of him, because I just thought this guy's an absolute bust before. Previously I thought he was a terrible buy and really dicey, like a real weakness down that left side, but he's been fantastic, isn't he?
He's had it. I mean, we obviously were talking about a Crystal Palace 2, Everton 3, which we spoke about last week, Dave, and said that we felt we could win there, even though they're a good side. And as Andy's just said there, the rebirth of Mykolenko as a Roberto Carlos-esque type attacking left back. I may be egging it up a little bit, but he got his rewards inside the minute, and the perfect start and just the perfect way for him to carry on, given he'd scored the week before, and that settled Everton down a little bit.
No, who'd have thought it? And as I say, I've been critical of him before, as you well know, because I mourned Luca Dean for a long time. But yeah, he's just seems to be getting better and better every week, Mykolenko, and a lot of it's got to be to do with confidence. I think. And yeah, he's willing to come forward and see him score with his head as well. And, he'd had a shot before that and just looks eager to be involved. And it's great to see. And for sure, he's part of the way that they're playing better.
Ped, the manager has to take, and the coaching staff have to take some credit for this as well, getting them a little bit high, well, not a little bit higher up the pitch, way higher up the pitch, because he was terrified of crossing the halfway line for so long, wasn't he? But it makes such a difference when you've got players who committed to getting into the penalty area, doesn't it? And that's what he's proved the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, we his nickname used to be Vitali Maldini, but Maldini never had a goal scoring record like this. So Carlos is more appropriate. No, whatever they're doing it right. We could do with it on the other side as well, and just get more men attacking, get more men in the box, and because you're seeing what the results are, and he's certainly enjoying his football, and people are, he's a little cult hero, isn't he, amongst Evertonians? So, I'm like Andy. You give players a chance when they first come in to settle down, and then you wonder whether it's going to work out for them, and it. He just seemed really weak for a time, but I think that's one of the things you look at him now. He looks strong. Looks like he's put muscle on it.
Genuinely, he does. He looks bigger, doesn't he?
Yeah.
His head's still incredibly tiny, like a deflated.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it is. Yeah.
But the rest of his body's quite hench, isn't it?
He'll fill out. Once he does. He looks so much fitter and stronger, and maybe that's down to Dyche. Maybe that's down to himself. I don't know. But it's obviously part of it. He obviously feels stronger and can get around the pitch a little bit better and can get back. So long may it continue. I still think we obviously need another left back, because it's one of the places again where we're quite short. We're relying on Ashley Young to play in 3 different positions. So, but it's great. It's great to have a player who's really enjoying the football and really enjoying getting results. And you can see he's getting results anyway.
Yeah. I mean, Andy, Sean Dyche come in. There's obviously Dyche fit and all that, but they genuinely do, and Mykolenko probably is evidence of this. They genuinely do look like a fitter, stronger team now than we have done probably for a few years, really. And even just the size of Everton's team is quite tall anyway, but they just look like they can get up and down now. And Mykolenko, I think, was always, well, I always thought he was a good defender, 1v1. But he didn't have the other side to his game. But maybe that extra bit of fitness, conditioning work is giving the confidence to get up and down. And the team look like they've got that as well at the moment, don't they?
Well, fair play to Dyche. He said all along that he wanted to get Everton back to being kind of, we've talked about it on this podcast before about we want to go back to the days when it could be horrible. Everton could be a horrible team to play against, and going to Goodison was horrible. I mean, nasty, and leave tackles in and let them know you're there and all that kind of stuff. We lost that for a long time, and I genuinely believe under Lampard they weren't fit enough. You watch a lot of games. They used to be blowing out their arses, like when you were waiting for a corner to be taken. Everyone was like hands on knees, and they just didn't look like they were at it.
It's like having 11 Delafeus, wasn't it?
Yeah, they're all absolutely naked.
Leave the Spanish prince alone.
We liked him.
Loved Jerry.
No, love him. Love that man. A great period of attacking
player ever.
He's magic,
But they definitely are fitter. They're at it. At the races quicker. It's been great to see Everton attacking from the kickoff as well, which has been the amount of times we used to take a long time to get going in games and literally not actually get going until the second half a lot of times as well. So yeah, it's just good, and it's like a proper team effort. We don't have one kind of like star player that is pulling the strings, and if they get injured, then we're doomed. Everybody is putting in a shift. You look around the whole team. Harrison's been great as well, giving us a bit of balance. He's just got a good Dyche, like everyone getting stuck in team ethic, and the Palace game was just a great example of like how far we've come, and we'd have definitely when they pulled level, we'd have definitely got our heads down and given that one up even just a season ago. So it's an amazing turnaround, and fair play to the manager and the players. Really, it's great.
Dave, I mean, if there was ever evidence that, and this is something the manager's mentioned on many occasions, to be fair, building the resilience to the team. Saturday wasn't it, taking the lead 3 times in the game? I mean, we've all over the years, and we've got a few years amongst us. I've watched Everton well, maybe I'll just watch more games. I don't know.
He's only 25. Look at the state.
I am. That's it. That's what it does. 26, actually, Andy. Let's not play it down too much. But we've seen occasions where teams have come back twice in a game, and that's Everton. Yeah. We haven't got the fortitude to go again. Now, I'm not saying this means that all of a sudden we're going to be in the Champions League, whatever. But they are building the resilience. And Saturday, to take the lead 3 times and then hang on to that 3rd time, I think did give testimony to what Sean Dyche, to be fair, is trying to build at the football club.
I totally agree. And as much as we've talked about, improved fitness and strength, with the likes of Mykolenko and others, but I think that the mental side of it is actually more important. And that's what you're talking about there, is that previously, this is a side where they would have collapsed. They just wouldn't have had the mental strength to have taken the lead 3 times like this, and when they equalized at the end, that would have been them. Their heads would have gone down. They would have kind of seen it as like, well, do you know what? We nearly got the 3 points, but we didn't. But hey ho, back on the bus and off we go. And it's not like that anymore. And that to me is the real difference. More so than any improvement in terms of the strength, it's the mental side of things. Because we've always known that if the players in this squad would put in a proper graft, then there's no way that they would have got some of the results that we've suffered, in recent seasons. And a lot of it's here. It's not on the grass. It's upstairs. And it's just good to see that for me. And things are moving in the right direction. And the picture looks a lot more positive than last time Andy Bush was here, for sure.
I just check in every year with you guys. See again.
Yeah.
Well, one thing on what Dave just said. One thing that I've noticed that has taken me back to, you just mentioned Deulofeu, but do you remember the way Pienaar and Lukaku used to have this kind of celebration after goals, and you can sense that there's a really good team bond going on there. And what I've really loved to see in recent games is Onana seems to be at the very core of the kind, and Doucouré seems to be at the very core of this kind of team ethic they've got at the moment, and they're all jumping on each other to celebrate, and you can just tell that they're a group of players who do actually get on and are familiar with each other and have got each other's backs, which you couldn't say that probably a year ago because everyone was kind of shirking responsibility. So you're kind of seeing when we are scoring, and we're scoring more than we've ever done, which is a great thing, but you're seeing them celebrate in a way which is kind of getting us back to a bit of team spirit that we've not had at Everton for a little while. So it's
I think you saw that with the Idrissa Gueye goal as well at the end, especially for someone who hasn't been a regular, sort of starter in there, but to have obviously been playing and to get that goal at the end, and he just looked delighted. And as you say, it sort of embodied the whole team spirit, I think, didn't it?
Going over to the fans at the end,
it's
really important stuff, isn't it? You know what I mean?
Well, you kind of got inside my mind there, Andy Bush, because I was going to say to Ped.
Better than getting inside your bush, Andy.
Well, I mean, hey, listen, it depends how we're all feeling.
Absolutely. I mean, it's early on a
It is early, and
that's
sometimes when you get men of our age, maybe that's the best time to perform. It's early on. Ped,
not for me.
Well, not for you. You're normally still asleep. And then there will be questions about consent. Anyway, Ped, if you're looking at, we're just talking about the celebrations and stuff, like, the match winner, the Idrissa Gueye wasn't even in the starting lineup. Obviously, Onana was in it. And he came on and obviously had a great second half and got a pre-assist, whether he meant it or not, and then come up with the winning goal. But then we did see that togetherness at the end. I mean, when he scored, he ran over doing the old snake celebration to Dan Juma, who, of course, didn't even get on the pitch. That's his celebration. That's something that the manager and the coaching staff, and maybe it's Seamus Coleman and Tak and other people, seem to have got this togetherness going, whereas you've got Onana being replaced by Gueye, and then at the end, he's making Gueye go to the crowd and celebrate and all that. And that is good to see, that there is that, like Andy said, there seems to be that team spirit there. And we need that because we haven't got tons of quality, if you know what I mean. We're
we haven't got tons of players.
Well, tons of players, yeah.
So we do need... No, because we have only got like 13, 14 players who are going to play regularly. So that is really important. And if they've built a bond, and obviously some of them will have more than others, the French-speaking players and things like this, then it is massively important. And I think the fans feed off that, especially, when they're going to away games and they're traveling all that way. Fans feed off it, don't they? They love that thing that players look like they're feeling like the fans are feeling, and they're all supporting and all that kind of thing. I know it can be looked like on the outside, as in every club does it, I suppose. Every set of fans wants to see it as well, but you just want to see your players try, don't you? You want to see your players having a go and enjoying what they're doing. And if they're scoring goals, it's not just we scored the goal, let's run back to the halfway line. Fans love all that. And sometimes it can be great. And Onana was doing it last season, like doing the cheerleader thing, and it was grating on people because it was like, we've just been beaten and you're trying to like whip us up, or during the game you're doing that thing where you're trying to get and you're not actually doing your what you're supposed to be doing on the pitch. But it's all just come together recently, and people are loving it because it isn't just about winning games, is it? It's about seeing the players actually try and actually doing, and not like you have just said, not their heads not going down and the old pulling the shirt over the face. Like, people are just grabbing the ball and going, right, let's get back to the halfway line. If we concede, we'll score another one. And it doesn't matter always what the quality is on the pitch, because if you've got a bit of that, got a bit of that spirit, then it rubs off on everyone, I think.
Dare I say, Andy Bush, I mean, we were talking just before we started, weren't we, about this weird feeling of like, you just win some games now, and this is maybe other fans, like what they've seen for a while. Like, this is what a football fan's supposed to feel like. But one of the things that Sean Dyche said, and I think it might have been in his very first press conference, was, the players, fans want to see the sweat on players' shirts and all that. Dare I say it, and it's probably a bit early to say it, but he's starting to move it more towards what we see with a David Moyes team, say, where we were durable. The players had a go. Sometimes we were greater than the sum of our parts. We always had good players, but did we have great players? Well, no, because we never won anything. But are we getting back to a similar kind of thing to a David Moyes team, do you think, where we'd moved away from that? And certainly in the last 2 years anyway.
I honestly think obviously I grew up during the Howard Kendall era. I was only a little kid, but the Moyes, Jelavic, that draw against Man United bit of being an Evertonian is still one of my favourite periods of being an Evertonian, because he just created this kind of guerrilla mentality where we used to just smash and grab raids on teams, played really well down the, really good left back, right back, that kind of Everton tradition, putting crosses in and all that kind of thing. Hard team, played really fast and direct, and you can see the seeds of that coming back a little bit with how we're playing at the moment. And it's good. I feel like I'm enjoying. I don't not want to talk about Everton. I used to don't want to talk about football. Don't want to hear about. I'm not interested. I don't want to think about it. And it's lured me into watching Match of the Day again for the first time in ages. Every time I go and watch Match of the Day, I get so. I bang on about this a lot to people, but I genuinely feel that they edit Everton in an incredibly unfair way. If you watch the game and you see what they put out on Match of the Day, it's just unbelievable. I just think it's unbelievable. They always edit it to make it look like we're in the Battle of Rorke's Drift and we've just hung in there by the skin of our bloody teeth. But there's been a number of games where we've had a really good account of ourselves, and they in the edit they've made it look like we were absolutely battered, and it just really, really does my head in, particularly with the the absolute bullshit penalty that they got. Palace got the first one. Wasn't a penalty as far as I'm concerned. And then the lad that went down, obviously, for the second one when they were claiming the penalty, they never even showed his tackle that should have had him off the pitch anyway. Wasn't even in the highlights. So I don't know. It's funny, isn't it? You stay away from Match of the Day because it's bad for your mental health. Then suddenly we win a couple of games, then you go and watch Match of the Day, and then you've got bad mental health.
I think the other thing as well that sums it up for me is that when you've got people like Phil McNulty yesterday saying that even with a 12-point deduction, he could still see Everton staying up, and a lot of people kind of now thinking, do you know what? Everton haven't got anything to worry about. A huge points deduction, obviously, but if we take that out of our mind, people aren't, before people were kind of going, oh, do you know what? Yeah, I really worry about Everton. I fear for them this season. And certainly we were of that mentality as well,
Not me. I'm
not at all.
I've said for a while, we are better than what we were showing. I think what this manager's doing, and to be fair to him, he wasn't my choice. Right, and I was still unconvinced because of how poor our home form was at the end of the season. But to be fair to him, he's got them well organised. He's got a way of playing with them. If we get our home form even average, Dave,
it will be fine.
People will start talking about them making a charge for Europe. I'm telling you, because away, Sean Dyche, to be fair, how many is it? 4 or 5 games we've lost. 5. So we've lost 5 away games since he came in, 2 of them with the derby. Right? Yeah. Away, I don't think we've ever had an issue since he come in. At home is the issue, Dave. But I was telling, and I got a bit of stick for it in the summer, but I was saying, this team is better than what people think. It's not a team that should be challenging Brighton and all that. It needs better players. But you look at that Premier League, there's a lot of average teams. I think Everton are an average team. If you get organised, we'll do all right. But I absolutely agree with you. People now are going, even with some points taken off, we've got no problems. And I think that's a great place to be.
I think that's also, in fairness, and to balance it out, I think that's also to do with the fact that there are 3 very poor teams in this league. More so certainly than last season, and more so than the season before.
And I think maybe you were looking at that before we'd got before like Beto would come in and Harris, before we had the forward players.
I mean, I haven't ever disagreed with you in terms of, you know, they've always been better than they've been performing.
Yeah.
You know, and there's always been more to them there.
Absolutely.
And I think maybe where we differ, Baz, is the fact that I think that you could see it changing and you could see the mental side sort of taking over, which arguably is the difference now. You know, they haven't suddenly with the, you know, yes, they've maybe got a bit fitter and Mikalenko's sort of bulked out a bit, but ultimately the difference is here, not, you know, with the feet. And I think maybe you could see that more than I could, but yeah, you know, I think they're now showing what they should be showing for what is essentially, with the greatest respect, as you say, a pretty average side.
I think we're a well-structured side, and we've got sprinklings of quality. And I think a big boost, even though I don't think he played particularly well at the weekend, has been the return of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. And also, just on top of that, is when because you mentioned it before, really, we probably have got 13 or 14 players that the manager is comfortable with. And within that, one of them was obviously Idrissa Gana Gate the weekend. The other one is being able to put Beto on. And his third one, I guess, even though I think he should be playing, is Nathan Patterson.
Yeah. I before we come on to that, I just wanted to know whether Andy was shocked that Des Lynam and Ray Stubbs weighing on Match of the Day.
I don't know who's on it these days.
He was waiting for Alan Hansen. He was waiting for Hansen to do
It's been that long. I just wondered if he was like waiting for Mark Lawrenson to come on and go, yeah.
It has been that long. Well, just on that very quickly, Ped. If Jermaine Jonas is listening to this podcast, it's Branthwaite.
Yeah.
Well said.
Right. Well said. And forwards aren't entitled to just fall over whatever they want.
No.
No, I mean it is just it is like almost like 11 plays and 3 subs at the moment, isn't it? And that's it. And we're lucky if we get to see those 3 subs. By the way, the manager is very reluctant to make subs, but I understand why. He has his players he trusts. He has got a nice balance to the side at the moment. I didn't think the wide men were particularly good on Saturday, but they do give us a balance that hasn't been there for a while, and all those little things are coming together. And it would be nice if we could get a couple more in January. I don't expect us to get a couple more, but if we could just move things around a little bit, maybe move a couple out, get a couple in, and having Dominic Calvert-Lewin obviously back to somewhere near what he was pretty much, with Beto coming off the bench. Suddenly you do look at the squad and think, or certainly look at the 13, 14 and think, yeah, that will be all right. And as Dave said there, the bottom 3 or 4 are pretty poor, but that doesn't mean that we're not a decent side. It just means that you don't look over your shoulder as much and think, oh God, they're capable of getting to us. You know, I put up a table the other day on Twitter of where we were this time last year, and the gap between obviously the teams in the bottom 3 and us then and us now, there's a huge gap, and it gives everyone that little bit of a breather. When
aren't we only a point better off? Did you say?
No, we're not. We're not any better points, but we're 3 games better off than obviously this time last year because we were going into the World Cup.
Yeah,
so we're better games wise.
Yeah.
But even going the match, you feel a little bit relaxed. Obviously, it was tense at the beginning of the season because it felt like it had just carried over from last season. But I think in the last 6 weeks, everyone feels a little bit better. So it's a little bit more relaxed when you go to the match now. Everyone's not like just clamoring for it and worried before they go in. And I think the away fan. Go on.
Do you think he doesn't fancy Danjuma? We were just wondering why Danjuma doesn't seem to be getting.
There's something not right there, isn't there? Because to be honest with you, whenever I've seen Danjuma come on, I think he looks useful, but it's obviously something he doesn't fit in, or there's something not right, isn't there?
It just doesn't. I don't think he just works hard enough, does he? I don't think he tracks back, and I think we're still in that. He looks at it and probably thinks, well, we're still in a very delicate moment. So let's get through to. I know you can't start playing players when you get to a certain point tally, but he probably thinks, well, let's get the team playing in a certain way so that you wouldn't want to ever carry one player, and that one player would have to be extremely good. but he is going for safety first, and I understand that, and it's probably why he's not playing Nathan Patterson as well. It's probably why he's playing Ashley Young over Nathan Patterson. But what he's going to find is in December he is going to have to start playing these players a little bit more. Otherwise, this team's going to be it's going to be knackered before it gets to Christmas. So he's going to have to start trusting, and that'll be the next evolution of the manager, won't it? It'll be, can he play, on a Wednesday night? Will he play 5 or 6 players from the team we played on a Saturday rather than play all 11? That'll be the next thing. I suppose that's him starting to trust his squad.
But, when you look at the people like Nathan Patterson, there's no reason why Nathan Patterson couldn't, have the same progression as Mykolenko on the other side, and actually suddenly couldn't be, because listen, he's a good player and he's a good crosser of the ball. We've seen that, he's got natural talent there. There are problems with his game, of course, but if you can iron those out, we could be talking about Nathan Patterson kind of going, do you know what? We've got the best bloody right back we could wish for. He's stunning and everybody's after him. But, it is about improving certain individual players and maybe he's one. And as you say, Ped, but that needs to come from trust. He needs game time. And he will have to do that, for the rotation system, because you can't be relying upon, Ashley Young, who's older than I am.
Absolutely.
Well, you are only 33, you said, didn't you?
Well, this is it,
So he's comfortably older. Andy, 6 wins in 9. It's been a while since Everton have won 6 in the last 9. They're in the quarter-final of the Carabao Cup. We're now going into, we've obviously got the international break, we're going into a very busy period now. So it's just a bit more of maintaining, isn't it, what we've been doing, really, and see where we go up the next block of fixtures to Christmas.
Well, first of all, isn't it weird to not cling to an international break like at the end of Titanic and that bit of woods, like when you're normally in Everton?
Well, it was the World Cup this time last year. We had 6 weeks release.
Is there enough room? Is there enough room for all of us on that bit of wood?
I think so. On the piece of wood she was on, there was, yeah?
Yeah.
Absolutely, there was.
But yeah, so it's I mean, it's almost like it's come at a bad time for us. We're doing all right and everything as well. So that's a shame. But I also wanted to come on the podcast and just say how heartfelt and bad I feel for Newcastle fans that the wheels are coming off their level and they're arguing with each other in the stands.
Yeah, me too.
It really has brought a tear to my eye to see.
What is it about Bournemouth? What is it about Bournemouth that attracts fans to have an argument with a player at the end of a game? I mean, it was us 12 months ago with Iwobi. This time it's Newcastle with Trippier. What is it? Is it just that it's that far? Or is it just Harry Redknapp's got loads of stuff around there that he owns and it pisses everyone off?
It's one of those kind of crystallizing games, isn't it? Like you can't, even though they're a much better football team than probably people give them credit for, but there is an element. Well, if you can't beat Bournemouth, but then again, on top of that, you're right. It's a long trip for the away fans as well, and the fans are right on the pitch. So that was one of the lowest points being an Evertonian. That wasn't it? That argument.
When they did us twice in a week, didn't they?
Twice in 3 days, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that was it was the one that was that the game where someone threw the shirt back at Iwobi?
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, but it's it's mad. Like I was thinking with this kind of malaise with Everton, because I love that Sunderland Till I Die documentary, and I kind of see a bit of Sunderland. There's a bit of Everton in Sunderland. There's a lot of Everton players in everything. Is Jack Rodwell still there, sat on the bench?
I think so. Yeah.
But, if you wait long enough, you can come back from the dead almost. Like Sunderland are clambering back up to where they used to be. So,
were they very much like Walt Disney? Were they cryogenically frozen, Sunderland? And they've now been thawed out and they're on the way back.
We've taken our licks though, fellas. I think we've taken some, the rope-a-dope. We've been punched a lot over the past few seasons. So if you wait there, hang in there long enough, you do have these ebbs and flows with football, and it's great to see Newcastle losing their minds a little bit now.
Absolutely. Soap on a rope.
Well, that's it, isn't it? I think the next thing, Dave, just finally, before we move on to the non-structured bit.
I love it when the formalities relax.
Well, that was it, yeah. Like any of it.
The scripted part of the show is over.
Yeah, and we can just talk shit like 4 blokes just having a catch-up. I love that bit. Anyway,
that's the best bit.
We're not there yet.
No, I was going to say, obviously everything is looking really good and people are very much relaxed. And I think Ped touched on this before, like going into the stadium now feels totally different than what it did, certainly against Fulham on day one. And I think without being massively disrespectful to the likes of Neil Maupay and Michael Keane, They were very much squad players who the manager chose to play on day one, which set the feeling of frustration with fans. But all of that's correct. The Maupai's having the time of his life at Brentford and all that. But from an Everton perspective, is it now just getting this decision from the commission out there, and then we truly can go, right, we know where we are? I don't think there'll be a points deduction. I certainly don't think it'd be 12 points anyway. But do we just need that decision out there now so we know what we're dealing with, and then we truly can go, right, this is where we are? And if we are where we are now, I think that'd be a huge boost to fans as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think from a fan's perspective, the sooner that we find out, then obviously the better, and then that will obviously shape our mood and our prospects going forward. I think from a player's point of view, though, I think as much as they can, they just put it out of their heads. And, maybe, there is an argument, I haven't thought about this before, but there may be that kind of, sort of trial through adversity at the moment, whereby maybe this is part of the reason why they're actually putting in more graft and they get these results. I mean, I had them down for a draw on Saturday, to be honest with you. That was I was out with a mate of mine who had it on his acca as a draw, and he was annoyed when Everton took the lead. I thought, don't worry, it'll end up being a draw. You'll be fine. You'll be safe on that one. And anyway, I was pleased that actually I did knacker his acca. But the thing is that maybe that's part of it. Maybe they're thinking, well, we potentially got a bit of an uphill climb here, and actually, if that is the case, and that's giving them that extra 10 or 15%, then long may it continue.
But the Ferguson thing, Ferguson was the king of it's us versus the world, wasn't he? Of that kind of management style going on.
Yeah. So I mean, if maybe we delay the announcement for a while if it's going to convert into performances like that. If they can do that again against United, Sunday week, then that would be fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, we will be discussing that more.
Just keep hanging a points deduction over our heads till we get the correct amount of points to stay up.
Just wait till 2030 and then do what you want.
Just till 2030. We might win stuff
52 lads. Got 52 points here. Take what you need. Take what you need.
Take what you need. I don't know about that. Take a few. Don't say...
if that makes Leeds fans feel happy, then take six or seven.
If it's up to bloody the Premier League, they'll be trying to take all of them. Know what they're like. Anyway, let's move away from that onto the less scripted part of the show.
Can we relax now?
You can relax now. That's it. We've all hit the markers in the script. It's fine. It's fine. I just wanted to know if any of you saw. I know Ped did, but did any of you see the lion prowling the streets in Italy after it escaped from an Italian seaside town circus that was visiting? And this lion is just literally wandering the streets. I mean, how are you getting that back? Who's getting that back in?
How's that work?
I think somebody with a massive net. I mean, I haven't seen this story, and I don't know how they did it, but for me... It was in
Ladderspoli, which sounds like a made-up name, to be fair, but there you go.
Is that like the Italian lad Bible?
That's what I think it is. Ladderspoli near Rome.
Well, maybe they used. I remember we had a terrible lads' holiday once to Benidorm. It was absolutely freezing. And we used to sit.
And there was lions roaming around.
Well, we used to sit with blankets out on the balcony in the evening, having a drink before we went out, right? And we used to look down. The pool was
tasered.
There was no tasering going on. Did see Sticky Vicky though, which stayed with me.
What, just wandering the streets with ping pong balls? Okay,
absolutely. Sticky Vicky wasn't.
Catch you with a massive net.
Well, we had a laser pen, and we used to spend the evening getting the cats to run around the forecourt of the hotel with a laser pen. It's that fucking bad, the holiday.
What? It sounds like a Ned.
It does sound like a Ned. Why won't
cats go crazy for a laser pen? But they love it. So I reckon if you're going to try and get the lion in, they love laser pens. Because they laser pen it into a cage.
They sedated the lion. Apparently, it was captured.
How big would the laser pen need to be to get a lion?
But if it's the kind of pen you'd need if you were going to try and dazzle a Boeing 747 pilot out.
I mean, you'd have to go for the big section in Ryman's for one of them, wouldn't you?
Yeah. They probably wouldn't have it in store. You'd have to order it.
No, probably order online because they don't stock it.
Shoulder mounted. Laser pen.
Imagine being on Dragon's Den and approaching them with that one. What's it for? Well, for thesis. It's if ever there's a lion going around the streets,
roaming the streets, this can get it back in its cage.
Lion loss causes the country £35 million a year in lost revenue from zoos. That kind of thing. Did you know that?
Did you know? Yeah. It sounds very niche, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And you look at the stats in terms of how many people die by lions in Italy. There's probably more people hit by falling coconuts, to be honest with you. That's normally statistics that's sort of bandied around. Yeah.
More people probably die of lion bars.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's choking on a lion bar. Yeah.
And I don't think the laser would be much help.
Either way, Tuka Suleiman wouldn't invest because I've watched a lot of Dragon's Den and I've never seen him put his hands in his bloody pocket.
No,
back anything.
It's like Ned. He's the Ned's version of Dragon's Den.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If Ned,
the voyeur, he's not on there to put any money in.
No. That's
also, but you know something really interesting? Have you not realised this? You know what Den is the reverse of?
Ned.
Oh my God! It's like the Da Vinci Code.
It is.
No further questions.
Oh my God! It's just all that. No, that thing where.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's been in front of our noses the whole time.
Yeah.
All the time. It's just been there. No one's even spotted it.
Wow.
Oh my God! That has been in plain sight, hasn't it?
Right, Rob Harris.
Oh my!
Is that the title of his book?
I mean. Yeah.
To be fair, he does, he's trying to grow that beard.
Who, Ned or Rolf?
Yeah,
Ned. He has got a
Ned
bit.
Harris.
He has got a bit of a beard going on here.
By the way, for those that have just tuned in, this is the unstructured part.
Yeah, this is not scripted
of today's performance,
and I'll prove it by we'll go to random questions from our audience. We'll go on to that bit just to make this show a little bit less scripted. Yeah. Other jokes about Ned are available too. This is an interesting one from Andy, not our Andy, obviously. Says, if you had a boat, what would you name it?
Wow.
Ridiculous question.
Ned. How random is that? Much more random than talking about Ned and Rolf Harris and people like that.
Yeah.
I would call my boat Mikkel Madar.
Okay.
He's still one of my favourite players. He was an enigma of a player, that guy. I think
Great hair.
Amazing hair. Absolutely amazing hair.
But missed an absolute glorious opportunity to put himself in Everton folklore when 1-0 up at Anfield. He had an open goal and somehow decided to kick it wide.
Oh, did he? Well, maybe I won't call
and Liverpool equalised 47 seconds after. And I mean, it was 47 seconds after that moment.
Right, okay, I'm not going to call my boat Mikkel Madar.
No, because
him.
What I would see is that it would start off really well, your boat, and then be no more quickly.
Yeah, okay. I'll get back to the drum.
Have a little think. Dave Vitty, what would you call your boat? I mean, you are essentially, you've got it, but well, sort of. You're a man. No, but you frequent the waterways, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair, so does my bush friend as well. You know, he also is, near to water.
So Dave, right, if you were to get onto the waterway, say we decided that we wanted to meet at sea, what would your route be, and how would I meet you from where I am in Leon
Right.
Sea?
So this is assuming that we're not going to take the M25, which would
no, we can only go on the sea.
Ways would take us. Yeah. I would jump onto the River Thames, and then I would head in an easterly direction through the city of London, and then coming out at the Thames estuary, and then I would then take a left and then head up towards your neck of the woods, which is the Essex coast. I don't want to say exactly where you are because I don't want the local Pepper Army to be around there and photographing you and your kids coming out of the shops.
Yeah.
It's near Southend-on-Sea, I believe.
Okay, so we could meet. I would then just have to paddle out and meet you, get the tide right, I guess, wouldn't I?
Yeah. This is it.
Okay, well, what a finale that would be for one series of the podcast.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? Ships passing in the night, be amazing.
By the way, if you live near a coastal area and you'd like to meet Dave and I, do get in touch with the podcast and we'll try and sort it out.
Yeah. I think Southend's a good shout because then obviously no one knows that you live in Leon Sea. You know what I mean? It's like
exactly.
Like a neutral venue.
Well, Dave, we did have someone saying that they know the Halfords you were on about last week. So
really?
Yeah.
One next to the Aldi.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
there's a B&Q next door as well. It's got everything.
It's got everything. What else do you need?
Ped, have you got any boat names?
Nothing that's particularly funny.
No.
Arthur.
Yeah.
Because it would be on the rocks.
Fair play.
Nice. I like that.
that.
Yeah,
Like
it's
that.
a Dudley Moore gap.
I mean, that's a very 80s reference
is, yeah.
for our audience.
Listen,
But,
One for the kids there, Ped.
Yeah.
one for the kids.
Fair
One for
play.
I'm always tapping into the demographics. You know,
Yeah.
you've got to hit markers.
Be all that
I feel like
homework
we
you were
do-
doing at 3:30 this morning on YouTube.
Tell you what,
That's
in the back room, producer Dragon's Ned is just scratching his head,
just
isn't he? I have no idea what the
Ned
Dudley
Harris
Moore
has got
reference
no
is.
idea
No
what
idea.
Ped's talking about.
No, he's sat.
Ned Harris sounds like the guy who comes on Radio 2 at 9 o'clock to tell you about the latest country and western songs.
Whispering Ned Harris.
Fair play. Fair play. I mean, we just have. Carla says it. What are your pet peeves? Anyone want to go first?
Oh, okay, I've got one.
Yeah, go on.
My one at the moment.
Trick or
is-
treaters?
Sorry, pardon?
Trick or treaters?
No, I mean that's past me.
Oh,
by
okay.
now.
That's
But
seasonal.
It doesn't. It's just
Yeah.
very seasonal.
Yeah.
My all year round pet peeve at the moment is the people who don't know how to indicate properly when approaching a roundabout. You know, because the roundabout is structured in such a way, for those that don't know, whereby you give priority to the car on your right hand side. Now, when you have a car coming this way and then takes a left, and you're pausing there, thinking you might have to give it the right of way, and then they just veer off there, that really pisses me off.
Yeah.
And that's my current pet peeve at the moment. And that's a 24/7 thing. That's not seasonal.
No.
It happens all the way
No.
through the year. And just people need to learn how to indicate. Thank you.
Dave, can I ask you a
Next slide,
question
please.
on roundabouts very quickly? What's your view on, say, there's a queue of people up to a roundabout trying to get left?
Oh, I know what you're
Someone
going
goes
to say.
right and goes round the roundabout to go to the left. What's your view on that?
Well, it's technically not breaking the law, is it? Although you can get done. I read about this. You can get done and you can get issued with 3 points for inappropriate use of that lane.
Oh, I didn't even know
That
that.
can actually be done, even though technically they're not really doing anything wrong.
Okay.
I mean,
I'm not one of those guys, but I've seen people do it.
Yeah, you shouldn't really do it.
You just
but-
couldn't do it. You're on your boats.
Yeah. I
This is
mean,
true.
That's a good
You know,
point. You don't have any of this.
yeah.
I think with boats, you just keep. What do? You always keep someone on your right in
You stay
maritime
on
law.
the right hand side of the water, and people pass you on the left. It's much like driving on the continent, essentially. You know,
I
and
mean-
that's what we like to call the seaman code.
who knew Vitty and Bush knew so much about
Seaman
traffic?
Code sounds like the
Well-
Dan Brown's terrible follow-up to the Da
It
Vinci
does.
Code.
It does. To be fair, it does.
Set in Benidorm with the aforementioned Vicky.
Stick Vicky.
This sounds like Ned's search history.
And the laser pen.
Have you got any? Yeah. Let's find out where the ping pong ball is now. Andy, what are your pet peeves? Any?
Hey, people who talk into their phone in the fucking speaker rather than putting it to their ear like they're on that. Apprentice.
What is that all
the
about?
Apprentice, yeah.
It's like they've seen it on like
The Apprentice.
The Apprentice or some terrible show and gone, oh, I'm going to do that. No,
Yeah.
we don't hear your conversation, you tit.
Do you remember? I mean, if someone calls me on the phone, I'll be like, I can't talk.
Yeah.
I mean, like now I get so many people who just will have talk about
Andy,
boyfriends
have
and
you
medical
never-
issues.
Have you
Oh,
never
boy.
done Train Guy? Oh yeah. Have you never done? Like, you know,
Yeah, Jeff Linton.
Have you never done
Jeff
it? You
Linton.
should do it on
Jeff
the
Linton
train.
was back yesterday. He was
Was
back
he?
yesterday, Jeff Linton. Yeah.
Ah,
He's
Jeff
playing
Linton.
drums at the end of the.
Yeah, he was playing
the
drums.
piece,
He was
which
very
is
much like
fantastic.
Dave Vitty playing drums at the end of.
I saw
Something
that.
has happened in during lockdown where some of the privacy things where people used to have quite a big dividing line between private and public has broken down and people don't really care anymore. And then
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of peeves.
Peeves are everywhere. Ped, have you got anything to weigh in with?
I'm going to have to go back to the driving one. People who get in the outside lane 2 miles before the turning right, I absolutely fucking hate them. And it happens all the time. By yours, Baz, that's the worst place.
Yeah.
Get on the flyover and they stay in the right-hand lane and you want to get past them because you've got a serious deadline to get into Toffee TV HQ by 1 minute to 1. And you know you've got to make it.
Because you should have been
otherwise
in
people-
before. But
no,
yeah, go on.
strictly no. Start at 1.
Well,
You know, and they're sitting this bleeding lane all the way down, and then they get there, and you know they're going to turn right, and they just give you a look, or they wait till they get right to the bottom, and then get in the left-hand lane, and you just think This is why the waterways are the future.
the waterway's very much of the future. Where are we?
Actually, I've got a very quick etiquette
on,
question
go on,
to ask
go
Ped
on.
whilst you're looking for the next one there.
Go on.
I see that you're doing more jogging and that now, Ped, which is
Yes,
right.
yes.
I tried a bit of jogging and didn't really get into it. I'm not very good at it. But one thing that confused me when I was doing it, I just didn't know whether you have an answer on this, is do you wave to other joggers? Do you do a hi to other joggers or do you not?
there is now and again a little bit of like, you will look at them and it's almost like you're waiting for them to nod to you so you don't look like a tit.
Yeah.
And I suppose that can create standoffs.
I think waving is too much.
Waving,
doing that is too much. But I think just a general acceptance of the fact that you are sort of both part of some club.
An acknowledgement.
And you sort of go, all right.
You both drive a bus for the same bus company.
Yeah, exactly. It's sort of like an acknowledgement of like,
Yeah,
you're just a little lift of the eyebrow just to make sure we're all on the same page, and you go past each other.
I mean, who knew?
There's an etiquette.
Yeah, but that's fair play. Not so purple Aki says, if you had to choose, but there you go. If you had to choose one of the following as the new Everton chairman, who would you choose and why? A. Liz Truss. B. Boris Johnson. C. Suella Braverman. D. David Cameron. E. Tony Blair.
First of all, is this a bit too early? Is this question? Is my first thoughts. And the second thoughts is that I would probably have to abscond from the vote because there is nobody in there really that I would want, not even like a best fit.
Dave, I was going to say, none of them are football people, are they? So
my point exactly, Pedro.
They're not football people.
They don't know the club.
No, they don't know the club. They don't know the club. They don't know the tea lady. They don't know. They don't know. They're not football people.
Well, what are we after though? Like for the new chairperson, are we looking for a good old fashioned kind of benevolent older Santa type guy, or are we after like some of these new chair people now are a bit suave? What do we want from our new chairman, do you think?
I think competence. No, I mean, genuinely, I would like, and by the way, and this is no slight on our previous chairman at all. I just think that in terms of, there have been criticisms, as we all know, in terms of the general running of the club in recent years, and we all feel that things could have been done better by many, many different people. So I just think that competence and just the good ability to do what they're supposed to do is what we need. The club needs to be better run.
So
it's run a little bit like a lower league club, isn't it? When you have contact with Everton, they're very nice and everything, but it is run still with a kind of slightly lower division mentality.
So none of them five.
None of them.
No. Let's move on. Horse Feathers says it. What's the biggest lie you've ever told?
Horse Feathers.
Yeah, Horse Feathers. Okay. What's the biggest lie you've ever told? That you can get away with by telling or saying it, obviously.
It's a tricky one, that, isn't it?
No, I'm not a big liar, to be honest with you. I mean, we all do little white lies, don't we? When we don't.
All right, then. All right, let's pop because he's done another few. What is the funniest thing you've ever seen in another person's house?
Horse feathers.
Yeah, I mean, you saw horse feathers in someone's house?
Funniest thing in another person's house.
You're all having to wear.
I tell you very on the nose.
This will bring this back into talking about Ned a bit earlier on. My good friend Paulina spent a lot of money on a Rolf Harris painting just before things went south for Rolf, because she thought she was investing in a bit of art that might end up accruing quite some value. But now I don't know whether she's still got it up in her house.
Not so much,
not so much anymore now. That's for sure.
Did he paint it himself?
Yeah. Rolf Harris, because he was a proper artist and everything.
Yeah, he was. Rolf's Cartoon Club.
Do you remember that? Because he used to ruin stuff like, you're a kid at this age, like 6 or 7, and he'd go on and tell you that they'd shot too many bullets in this cartoon, as a Smith & Wesson would only ever carry 6. And if you watch it properly, they've shot 7 times. And as a kid, I'd say that was slightly mean-spirited.
So he was basically ruining things for a long time.
I'm going to say, if only that was the worst he'd done.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, honestly, the whole situation would be better in terms of us looking back on it now, I think.
Yeah. Horse Feathers also, I'm moving this on, also says...
Next slide, please.
What is the most useless invention of all time?
These are really, niche, aren't they?
Like really cryptic.
They're like interview questions that you have to prep.
Bearing in mind, for Horse Feathers and everyone else that's waded in with a silly question, this is like, we are recording this at 10:55 currently on a Wednesday morning. And you're trying to catch us out with all this, no.
Wait. Ned's gone with sex dolls. I don't think they are, though. I don't need them. No, for you. Yeah, but what about for people who do?
Like normal civilians, Ned.
Ned, well, you're Ned Harris. You have probably got your finger in lots of pies. But what we're saying is, for some people, they might.
Can you guess what it is yet?
They might.
Oh
they might. They might
be giants.
They might be giants.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't think you can say sex dolls are the most pointless invention ever.
They're very realistic these days. They've come a long way since the ones that inflated in the back of the van in Only Fools and Horses. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, them ones, they did see.
They've got detachable, washable private parts now. Some of the tech's amazing, lads.
Well, I mean, if you look at when you like first were aware of such a sex doll thing, they look to be made.
I love the way you tiptoe through this, Barry, pretending you don't have first-hand knowledge. It's really
listen, the first time I saw a sex doll, it looked to be made of the same type of fabric, if you want to call it that,
as a lilo,
or a beach ball, or a beach ball. Do you really? Do you want to be slamming into that?
Yeah, you're not sneaking a current modern sex doll into a football match and putting it over your head, are you?
In an FA Cup fifth round tie,
like almost like it's crowd surfing.
You've
got
not
doing that with a modern sex doll.
Exactly. It's about £2,000-3,000, Ped. You know what I mean?
Can you not do it on installments, though, Andy?
I think you can Klarna it over three.
You probably can
deposits.
Klarna it, but you don't want to then be taking that to the match, do you? At Grimsby, and it's getting thrown everywhere.
You're not taking it to the match.
And also, presumably, is there a balloon payment at the end?
Well, if you leave a deposit on it, like I said, there are bits that are detachable.
With the original ones, there was very much a balloon period because that's what they look like.
Is it worth it though if you've got those traffic lanes? No, the traffic lanes where you need a passenger. Would it be worth it just for that?
Maybe.
Noel Edmunds used to do that in Bristol.
What, you should take a sex doll with him to indicate that he was learning?
What he used to do Deal or No Deal in Bristol at Endemol Studios in Bristol.
Oh,
I know it, actually.
They put in a really tough bus lane that everyone was really annoyed about. The only people allowed in the bus lane were black cab drivers. So Noel Edmunds bought a black cab, stuck a mannequin or sex doll in it with a hair on and a Mac, and used to drive to work down the bus lane and get in a loophole.
In all fairness, at least he made sure it was dressed.
Started.
I think so, because you can get in and out of zones that you're not supposed to be in.
You very much do get in and out of zones in fake taxi. You're absolutely right.
I've just realised what Peb was talking about.
Yeah, let's move on. Before
it's actually very different. Actually, you're probably now hoping that you could somehow rewind that part and withdraw from your comment into there. Incidentally, I'll take us off on a different tangent because that same studios in Bristol. Let's talk about that instead.
Yeah. Nice pair of Bristols on it, Dave. Yeah. Did they have a nice pair of Bristols? Sorry, Dave. What?
Tipping Point is filmed there now.
Now, it's weird you should say that because we had photographs done for our radio station, awful radio station photographs. You've had many of them in your time, Dave. Hey, holding a toothbrush if you do the breakfast show and all that. Big plastic tub. The lady who did my makeup normally does Ben Shepherd's makeup in the week in Bristol at Tipping Point.
There you go.
All comes full circle.
All comes together.
Well, on that. Fed says, what is something you do that is normal for you? But if you said it out loud, you get questioned by others. Here's your public forum for admission. He says, for example, I always count how long I pee for.
That's weird.
I mean, why have you told us that, Feds? That is fair play for sharing. And sharing, is caring.
But I wonder how many seconds is his average piss.
Yeah, well, I wonder what you're... Put that on, Feds, and we'll revisit this next week.
Okay, so here's a game for us. What's his name?
Feds.
Okay, so if Feds actually gives, we could almost do this like as a tiebreaker question.
Okay.
Feds actually gives us the actual duration of his urination.
Yeah.
And then we could all, at the end of this podcast, or indeed now, we could all actually, write down something. Ned, the producer, could keep a list of this, and then we could actually surprise ourselves next week by seeing who was closest to the string.
Ah. Okay.
Guess the piss.
Guess the piss.
Guess the piss.
Have a little go at home as well. Get in touch.
How do we do it? Are we going to put it in our group, WhatsApp group now, our guess?
Message me privately.
Oh, message Ned privately.
Right,
sorry,
okay, I like that. So, Feds, you'll have to come back. What are we going for? Average or his record?
How many times would you have to go to get an average?
Oh, three, probably.
Yeah. Because there's the mean and there's the average, isn't it? So the mean is the one that's directly in the middle, is that right? And then the average is you add them all together and divide.
So then you've got median as well, though, haven't you?
Median, I know, it gets quite confusing. Yeah, I don't know.
So roughly how long he pisses for?
Listen, he just has to give us a time.
A time.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's largely academic, really.
Right.
But,
Fair. Well, what about this? What about this one?
Colour?
Because no, Ped, no, stop it.
I could get one of those charts from
No. Listen,
pH thing.
What about this then? If we want to be really, if you want to put an extra layer to this, record how long your average is in the next week. Hey.
You mean like recorders in sound?
No. That's
right, okay,
Andy.
phew.
No,
Okay,
it's not going on Dave's soundboard. That is not going on Dave's soundboard.
There's only one issue with this whole plan.
Go on.
There's only one issue. We don't know when we'll ever see Andy Bush again.
That is true. That is true.
Next season, fellas. This time next season.
True. That could be true. All right.
I do like our attempts though to make ourselves UK's #1 golden shower podcast.
Why not?
Yeah, absolute pissing point. There you go.
There you
go. Game show idea.
I sit on the bench next time I'm in Bristol.
That is. We are really good at this.
Take that to Channel 5.
Absolutely. I think they'd lap it up.
And that's a
poor choice of words,
video.
but yeah, I know what you mean.
It is a poor choice of words.
Mop it.
We could be narrated by Andy Bush. Absolutely, because we are now taking the piss, obviously. Right, that is it.
What a way to end.
We
are done. I've said it 6 times. First time you've got onto it. Where's the laugh? There you go.
Oh.
Sorry.
What a way to finish the podcast. Listen, Andy, lovely to see you. I will
Great
be
to see you guys.
in negotiations to see whether we can get you next week as well. Who knows? We'll see.
The Toffees.
The Toffees.
Imagine that.
Imagine that. Right, we are going. Take it easy. See you all later. Bye.